Happy Tuesday. This is our second week on learning the fingerstyle arrangement of Mr. Sandman. So if you missed last week's lesson, that's all right. Just shoot me a message. I'll send a copy of it over to you. If you don't have the music yet, hop on over to my website. You'll be needing this throughout the week so you know what we're working on. So we worked on the first 8 bars last time, and we're going to go through the second 8 this time. And at that point, we're going to be done half of the entire song, as there's some repetition in the second half of it. So congratulations if you've made it this far. We're halfway there. So we're going to learn just one new technique that we've never addressed in the lessons before this week, which is the pluck strum. But first, I'm going to play you these 8 bars that we're working on, and then we'll go through the chords and then the technique and rhythm associated with them. So we've already done the first 8. We're starting on E7. It's going to sound a little something like this. And that's it. That's all we're working on for this week. We already have those first 8 bars down. So the chords for this section, we're going to use an E7th with a sharp 5 in there, and I'll show you that, as well as an A7th with a sharp 5, and then we're going from a D6 to a D7th to a G7th. I know it sounds like a lot of numbers on here and very complicated, but they're very similar chords to the 7th chords that you likely already know. So we're starting off on our E7th chord, which you probably know. It's your first finger on the first fret of your G string on that G sharp, your second finger on the second fret of your C string, your E string is going to be open, and then you're going to use your third finger. And it's very important this time around that we use our third finger on the second fret and not our pinky, because when we have the sharp 5, this is a B right here, we're going to add a B sharp or a C natural is what we'd usually call it for that sharp 5. So this is our E7th chord, and as we add in the sharp 5, as you see it in here listed on the tab, it's just going to be our pinky on the 3rd fret. No more, no less. Now the rhythm that we did for this, we already did last week. So we're going to refresh whenever we have a quarter note, which is one of the notes that's not connected to any other ones. It's just going to be a down strum. Whenever we have these connected notes, these 8th notes here, we're going to go down, up. All right, it's simple as that. So when you're reading along, feel free to mark up the chart and put the strumming patterns on there if it helps you. It always helps me a little bit. So for this E7th chord, we're going to play one downstroke, and then the rest of the bar, we're going to go down, up, down, up, down, up. That easy. All right, so we're starting the E7th, and we're going to have this pinky down for the sharp 5, so it's going to sound like this. That's our E7 sharp 5. Now for our first bar, we're going to play just that sharp 5 chord, so it's going to be. And then when we get to the second bar here, just lift up that pinky. Your third finger's already here. We're going to do 2 downstrokes right there. And then put the pinky right back on. All right, so this E7th bar with that sharp 5 is going to sound like this. So it's going to be down, down, up, down, up, down, up, lift it up, down, down. All right, one more time, nice and slow without me talking. This is these are the 9th and 10th bars of the song if you're counting. So it's E7, and remember we have this sharp 5 down. Lift up the pinky, back up. All right, so there's 2 bars right there. And now we're coming to this new technique, the pluck strum, which is very similar to what it sounds like. We're going to pluck one individual note before we strum the chord. And there's a couple ways we can go about this. There's actually 3 or 4 different ways. I'm going to show you 2 this week. And feel free to use whichever one works the best for you. Just because I do it one way does not mean that that's right. It might not be comfortable for you, but I find the way that I do it to work best in this context. But again, there's lots of correct way to do things. All right, so we're going to our A7th chord here, which you likely know already. It's all open strings except your first finger on the first fret of your C string. That's a C sharp right there. And again, much like we had with the E7th, we're going to add our sharp 5 to this, which in this case is an E sharp. So this is our open E string. You're just going to add your second finger over here on the first fret of your E string. That's our A7 sharp 5, which is where we're going to be starting this. So if you look at your chart, it's all tabbed out for you which notes are going to be for the pluck strum. Yes, the hamster's right here. It's very important. So when we do this, here's how we're going to do the pluck strum. We'll just do it over this A7 sharp 5 chord. What we're going to do is play just this note, just this sharp 5. So the way I do it is I take my finger and I strum up and then strum down. So single note, full chord. All right. Now another way that you can do this is to use your thumb for the first stroke and then do a downstroke. It gives a mellower attack. It can sound better in some instances. So same thing, and you're kind of bouncing off with the thumb. All right. And one way that you can practice these pluck strums is just working on each individual one. So pick whatever chord you like, or no chord at all. Just use a C6, and you can go through, which is fully open, and you go through all of them. You can do just your A string, pluck it, strum, E string. All right, you can work through your pluck strums like that, nice and slowly, so we can coax this melody out of the chords. Now you note this A7th chord here is all quarter notes, so it would normally be down strums, but in this case it's going to be pluck, strum the chord, lift up your second finger, and then straight down. So again, it's when we're on the A7th, we're starting with our second finger down on the sharp 5, pluck, strum, lift it up, pluck, strum, and then down, down, up, down, up, down. One more time without me talking on this bar. All right. Now, the pluck strum might give you a little bit of trouble in the beginning, but isolate it and practice it by itself for a little bit, and it's really not too hard. Again, try the different variations of it and see what is the most comfortable for you. Now, this next bar that we're starting out on a D6th chord. And if you remember from learning how to tune your uke, we're tuned to a C6 chord, so that's an open strings. So all we're going to do is use a single bar on our second fret right here. That's your D6 chord. We're going to go down. If you look at the tab, in the second half of this bar, we're going from a D6th to a D7th. And that D7th voicing is going to be A with the second finger on the second fret, open C string, and then the F sharp on the second fret of your E string, and then open A string. All right? So it's going to be a little bit like this. It's the same, it's this familiar strumming pattern, the down, down, up, down, that we have throughout a lot of this song. So it's D6th, and then much like with the E7th chord that we just played, we're going to go down to that normal 7th chord in the second bar. So real slow, it's going to sound like this. Back to the D6th. All right, one more time. All right, so it's this same exact strumming pattern almost that we had over the E7th and also the B7th earlier in the song. And then we have 2 more bars left for this week to go through. So we're doing what's called a G13th chord, but it's really going to be much like our G7th. But we're going to keep an open A here at times. So our G7th is open G, second finger on the second fret of your C string, first finger on the first fret of your E string here, and the third finger on the second fret of your A string. All right, but we're going to start this out kind of funky because, again, this is a pluck strum, so we're going to hit individual notes. So we're going to start by plucking our second string, the E string, that F right there, and then strumming. All right, so it's E string, and I'm sorry, I looked at the chart wrong. It's an open E string. We're starting with this off. So all you need to finger at the beginning of this bar is just this one note here. But when we strum, we need to get that first finger down. So it's going to be open E string, put down the first finger and strum. And then your D string, right? The second finger right here. Back to the E. And then your open G string. And we'll catch that with our thumb. That'll be the easiest way to do it here. So real slow, these are those 2 pluck strum bars over the G13. I'm gonna go really obnoxiously slow on this. So we're starting with just the second finger down on the G7th. All right, One more time. I want to get a close up of the right hand here so you can see what's happening. All right. So here's this entire section for this week, played nice and slowly for you. We're starting on the E7th chord in the 9th bar. That's the entire section for this week. As I said, if you missed the first lesson for this, please shoot me a message, or if you'd like a copy of this one, I'll have it up on a YouTube playlist in just a couple of minutes. Any questions, feel free to email me. And if you happen to be in New York, we will be playing at the Jalopy Theater tomorrow night, Wednesday, the 27th at 9 p.m. So come out and say hi. Have a great week, everyone.